my gosh. Drape a little bit. Say hi, Mom. Oh my gosh. Hi. He's tiny. Oh. It doesn't feel like he's mine though, because I already have one, you know?
Close down here. There you go. There
Awesome.
you go. Good job.
That's a good way to get that fluid out of his lungs right there, the upside down.
Get some chin down the bird.
Lazy mom. I told him like, just drain it out. Just drain it out.
Can we get some more blankies? Some blankets? Yeah.
Good afternoon and welcome to our channel. Sparrow is gonna head out with Cody, but I wanted him to be here to kind of open the video with me because he's cute. Can you say hi to the camera? Hi. Okay, go with Daddy. Daddy, can you take him really quick?
Nobody.
Rush. Go with Daddy, quick. Run, 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 run. Daddy's gonna get your bunnies. Go, 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 go. Hurry, Cody. Gosh. Okay, back to what I was saying. Good morning and not good morning, good afternoon, and welcome to our video. Today's video is going to be Bohdi's birth story. So you guys saw our birth vlog. I'll have that linked below and at the end of the video. But I'm just going to go into the birth story and let you guys know how everything went down and have this for my personal memory. So I'm going to pull up my calendar really quick so I get the dates right and don't totally screw this up. Okay, so Bohdi was born on September 12th, but I'm going to go back to the day that I went into labor. So I went into labor on a Friday, which was September 8th, at about 1 o'clock in the afternoon. So 1 o'clock in the afternoon, I started having contractions. They were about 5 minutes and 30 seconds apart, lasting for about 45 seconds. I didn't say anything because I had my prenatal appointment, my weekly appointment coming up later that day at 3. So I didn't say anything until I got there. By the time that I got there, my contractions were 5 minutes apart, lasting for a minute. And so I asked her if she could check me. It was kind of early on, but we decided, because I had no idea that I was in labor with Sparrow, and I have a toddler that I need to drop off at somebody's house, that she would check me just to kind of see if I was progressing or if not, and give me a better idea of when I might go into labor. And so she checked me, and I was 2.5 centimeters dilated, 50% effaced, which was not a big deal because with Sparrow I was 2 centimeters, 50% at 34 weeks. So it didn't mean much, but maybe the contractions were working. So then later that night, things progressed, and I was like really uncomfortable. Not in like a ton of pain, but just really uncomfortable. I had my birthing ball out and we were watching Guardians of the Galaxy 2, and I'm like rolling on this ball, and my back was hurting, and I just felt so nauseous, and Cody had to keep like massaging me, and the contractions just weren't going away. They were really consistent. Again, meant nothing because with Sparrow, I had regular contractions that were dilating me for 3 weeks before I actually had him. So I was starting to get a little bit worried that this was going to be the same thing. It was going to be a couple weeks of this. Cody started to get a little bit worried because he could tell that it was like getting more intense, that I'm like rolling on this ball, and I was like really uncomfortable, and I couldn't sit still. I'm like bouncing on the ball, rolling on the ball. I needed him to like really massage my back the whole time. And so he was like, maybe we should go in, and I was like, no, let's just go to sleep. It will progress if it doesn't. And I started getting kind of discouraged, like, am I going to even know that I'm in labor again, because this feels like labor, but I don't know. So then Saturday rolls around, and again, the contractions get a little bit closer. They're about 4 minutes and 30 seconds apart, lasting for about a minute. Still really regular, still progressing. But I didn't want to go in because, again, same thing happened with Sparrow. I didn't know if it meant anything or not. So then, let me see. So I started going to labor on the 8th, which was Friday. On the 11th, that was a Monday, I had to go to work. And so then when I went to work on Monday, Monday morning I wake up and I'm throwing up all day long. I was so so sick. I was in the bathroom like every 5 minutes throwing up. I was so sick, so miserable. I thought I was gonna die. Like the contractions were worsening and I was just so awfully sick, and I had to go to work. And I told Cody, you're gonna drive me to work. After work, we're gonna go to the hospital and see what's up, because if I'm not in labor, I'm seriously sick. Like I can't do this for a couple more weeks. I need to, you know, see if this is progressing or if anything's happening and see what's going on with me, because I could not stop throwing up. I'm like in the bathroom all day long. And I just felt gross. Like I didn't feel sick though. I felt like I was in labor, and I couldn't explain that to anybody. And so I get out of work, and I've been having contractions still, and I've been timing them, and they're about 4 minutes apart now, lasting for a minute. And so this has already been a couple days of me having contractions, and I've been like really uncomfortable and in pain for this whole amount of time. And I tell Cody, let's go to the hospital. And he was like, why now? Like I thought we were gonna, let's stop by home, maybe we just wait it out. And I was like, no, we're going to the hospital right now because I'm going crazy. Like something's wrong with me. I need to see if I'm in labor, if I'm just sick or what, you know, like the mind games, sorry, my sock is falling off. The mind games were just driving me crazy at this point. And so he takes me to the hospital. Sorry, I bumped the camera when I stopped it, so hopefully it's still in the right spot. So he takes me to the hospital. When we got to the hospital, the triage room was full, and so we waited a little bit longer. They asked if I was in labor. I said I had no idea. I've been having contractions, but it doesn't mean anything. Like, probably not in labor because I feel like I am. And so the triage room was full. They got us back to an overflow room. So we were the first people into the overflow room, and within like 5 minutes, the overflow room was full. The crazy thing was everyone else in the overflow room was 36 weeks as well. So they said it must have been like a full moon or something going on, because we were all the same amount of pregnant and we were all having similar contractions and stuff going on. It had been days for everybody else as well. So it's kind of weird. When we got in, she checked me and I was 3 centimeters dilated, 50% effaced, -3 station. And so they said, okay, we'll just check you again in an hour and we'll see how that goes. The contractions at this point were starting to get really uncomfortable. Like I couldn't lay on my back because they were just hurting my back a lot, and I was cramping a ton, and I was just feeling really uncomfortable. But it was like, you know, I had this for 3 weeks with Sparrow, so maybe it's nothing. It's probably nothing and I'm just gonna go crazy. And so the lady comes back within 45 minutes. She's supposed to wait till an hour, but there's so many other people in the room. She just came back 45-minute mark, and she checked me, and I was 4 centimeters dilated, 70% effaced, still -3 station. And so she called my doctor and she said, look, she's having consistent contractions. They're getting stronger. They're definitely really intense. They were like going up, hitting the top line and like staying up there. So she said they're definitely really intense. Let's admit her and then see how it goes. So my doctor came in and she was like, you've been having contractions since Friday. Like, let's get you admitted and see what's going on. And so we get admitted to the hospital and we get a room. My nurses came in and they were amazing. Like right off the bat, just asked me a question like, are you an epidural kind of girl or a natural kind of girl? And I said natural, like that's my plan, that's my birth plan. It's awesome because one of the nurses I had, she had 2 kids and she had natural labor with one and a C-section with the second. And so she, you know, totally understood everything that I wanted, and she was super excited about it, and she was just, I mean, she was really fun to talk to, and I loved having her around. And she said, let's get you walking. So Cody and I walked the hallway probably for like an hour. We came back, we bounced on the birthing ball, we walked again for another hour, bounced on the birthing ball, and Cody had to go take Sparrow to go home and get our bags because Cody didn't want to bring bags because he didn't think I was in labor. So he had to go home, pack everything, let the dogs out, take care of things, pack stuff for Sparrow, and then come back to the hospital. So I walked around by myself for a long time while my phone was dying, and I was calling my mom, and as I'm walking around things are getting more intense and more uncomfortable, and Sparrow got picked up from somebody from church, and the nurse came in and she kind of explained like, you're 36 weeks pregnant. If you don't progress, we're going to send you home because we can't help you along, like as in water breaking or Pitocin. So if you don't progress within 24 hours, you're going to go home. And I kind of was a little bit worried. Yes, I wanted the baby to stay in longer, but I was like, how am I supposed to know when to come back? Like, I don't even know my body. I don't know what's going on. Like, freaking out for no reason. So we walked around, sat on the birthing ball, walked around, sat on the birthing ball, and I started getting really nauseous again, like really sick, and the contractions are really intense at this point. She finally came back to check me 6 hours later, and I was, well, the first nurse that checked me said that I was a 5, and the second nurse that checked me said that I was a 6. And so they kind of averaged out, because both of their fingers were really different sizes, that I was a 5.5. They both agreed that I was 70% effaced and that I was -2 stations, so he had dropped a little bit. And so they called in my doctor and said, okay, she's definitely in labor. We're going to keep her here. This is what's happening. Like, this baby is going to come. And she said that my waters were bulging. So her guess was that my water was going to break next to that point. So my doctor said, the good thing is I'm going to be able to deliver your baby. I'm going to run, deliver somebody else's baby, and I'll come back. And by the time that I'm back, you know, you might be progressing. And so I asked, hey, can I get into the shower? I had another round of antibiotics to go through, and I was going to hop in the shower. And as I'm sitting on this birthing ball, I get these like stabbing, like sharp pains down there. It felt like my water was going to break. Like, it just felt like they were bulging, just like she had said that my water was going to break. And the pain in my back was pretty bad. I was getting really nauseous. At this point, I had been in labor for a little bit over 72 hours. It might have been longer, honestly. I don't know. So I'd been in labor since 1 o'clock on Friday, and this was like after midnight, so it's probably like 1 o'clock on Tuesday night, or, you know, Tuesday morning. And so I've been in labor for a very long time at this point. This had nothing to do with me getting a C-section. The baby looked great. His heart rate was amazing, and so that didn't have to do with me getting a C-section. But I was having some concerning things going on with both of my pregnancies. I had about a 50% chance of me having to have a C-section. I didn't have to with my first, but I called in the doctor that was on call, because my doctor was with somebody else, and I said, hey, I'm having these symptoms. What do you think? Like, and so he said, let me go talk to your doctor and we'll decide. And so he called my doctor in, and they both agreed, okay, you have to have a C-section. So my nurse came back in and she said, look, it's going to be okay. Do you have any questions? And of course I've got like a million questions, because I'm like, I don't even know what's about to go on. Like, I researched some about C-sections with my first because I wanted to be prepared, but not enough to like really know what the process was. And so they came in and they talked me through the process. They say we have to start this process before your water breaks, so we're going to kind of rush it within 30 minutes, but it's not an emergency, so don't freak out. We're going to answer all your questions and do everything. And so she comes in and they gave me that, you know, little cup of, I don't know what that is, but it's disgusting. The guy was like really funny, and he was like, I've had to take this before, so I understand. Like, tastes like a warhead, he almost said, and it did. That's kind of what I thought too. And then they wheeled me off into the OR. So at this point, they wheeled me off into the OR. Cody had to stay back in the room, and he was getting dressed into his little get-up, and I'm back there with my nurses, and I was like shaking, and they're explaining to me, like, because he's early, you're gonna have the NICU team in there, you're gonna have your team in there, so there's gonna be a lot of people. So don't freak out when you see tons of people surrounding you. And we get into this room, and it's like, it looks sterile, like everything's white. There's these huge cabinets and this giant bright light, and I'm just thinking, wow, like this looks like an alien type thing. Like I got abducted by aliens and they're gonna rip my child out of me. That's what it looked like. And I remember they brought me over to the table, and I just remember thinking, that's a really tiny table. Like, no duh, they gotta get close to you so that they can perform the surgery. But I was surprised. Like, I just thought, how am I gonna fit on that table? And so I'm starting to shake and like get really nervous because I'm terrified for the spinal, and I'm like freaking out. And the guy was so understanding. Like, he asked me, do you have any questions? I'm gonna walk you through this. I'm gonna talk to you the whole time that we're doing your spinal, so don't be worried, but do you have any questions? And my nurse came up to me and she grabbed my hands and she said, your NICU team is gonna be in here with the baby, but we're not gonna talk about that. The baby's gonna be just fine, and the baby's gonna get to do skin to skin, and we're gonna keep baby with mama because that's where he wants to be. And she held my hand and she said, this is gonna be okay. It's not that bad. And so I curled up, and she like gave me a really tight hug, and that really helped me kind of calm down. Like, she was just amazing with just being reassuring and like really keeping my head in the right place. And they said the spinal's perfect, it's great. Let's get you laying down and for the C-section. And so they get the C-section going, and there's so many different people in there, like so many different people. And while they're doing this, like they're like, we're gonna prick you with this sharp object to see if you feel it. And I'm like, why are you gonna prick me with a sharp object to see if I feel it? What if I can feel it, you know? And I still had a little bit of feeling, so I kind of like freaked out. So they waited a little bit longer, checked again, and I was like, okay, I don't feel anything. And I'm like, are you guys cutting yet? Are you doing this? Are you cutting? Like, just to see if I could feel, you know? Because I was just worried that I would feel the process, and yeah, I'm just worried that I would feel some of the process. And there's so many people in there. There's one woman by my head who's like talking to me the whole time and telling me stuff. The anesthesiologist who did my spinal was there, and he was so awesome, like talking me through the whole process, like, here's what they're doing, here's what it looks like, now they're cutting into this layer and they're doing this, and they were really helpful. And the one by my head was like, they're getting close to baby, the next thing that you're going to see is the baby, like the baby's about to come out, are you ready? And I'm getting excited, and all of a sudden I hear Cody say like, he has hair, and because that's what I wanted to know. And I was like, he does, he has a hair, oh my gosh. And I'll play that clip, it was so cute.
Guess what?
And so it was like the first thing that I heard.
His hair.
And they took Bohdi off to the table and checked on him, and I just remember thinking like, his cry sounds just like Sparrow, like how crazy is that? It was just the coolest thing. And all of my nurses and the other nurses went over to Bohdi, and so I was kind of like alone, and I was like, okay, what's going on? But the anesthesiologist stayed by my head, and he was like, how are you feeling? Like, do you need me to get you anything? This is what they're doing now. They're going to put everything back in. They're going to sew you back up. And so that was really nice for him, because he didn't need to do that. And this wasn't his area of expertise. Like, he didn't know all of my questions, but he was there just to like reassure me. And he kept telling me like, baby's okay. Baby has like brown hair, and they're doing this. They're weighing the baby. And it was really helpful for him to like stay with me and talk to me, because he didn't have to do that. And it was really helpful. And he ended up telling me that his wife had just had a baby too, so he knew kind of what that was like. And it was just really awesome to have him there. And my nurse was like, Mama, he has curly hair, like he looks like this. And she grabbed my phone and went over and took a picture of him and brought it back to me, and that was so sweet of her to do that. And so then finally, I think they were getting to the last few layers of stitching me up, and I could feel like this tug. One thing I didn't explain is like, when they were pulling him out, they said there's going to be a lot of pressure. And it felt like my ribs were gonna break, like they were shoving him up into my ribs, but they weren't. I mean, they're pulling him out, but it just felt like my ribs were gonna break. There's so much pressure. And it's not painful. I thought that it would be creepy. You can feel some tugging. I know what it felt like at the end when they were like shaking me like this, or like it felt like they were trying to tickle me. And you know, like if somebody's really trying to tickle you, it's just uncomfortable, and you're like, okay, stop. I don't know if that hurts or what's going on, because you just don't want to be tickled. I felt like somebody's gonna tickle me, or like they were shaking me like this the whole time, and then just a lot of pressure in my ribs. It was so weird, to be honest, but it didn't hurt, and it didn't freak me out like I thought that it would. And after that, they were able to bring baby over to me, and so then they kind of like let go of my arms, because your arms are back here, and like there's all these wires, so they moved the wires around, and they stuffed him down like in my little gown and my shirt, because they wanted him close to me. And I was just like, what's he doing? What's he doing? And right away he like grabbed onto Cody's hand, and I'll insert a picture. He's like holding onto Cody's hand, and it was just the sweetest thing. And the nurse was like, give me the phone. I need to take some picture. I need to take some video. And that was like awesome of her again, because she wanted to help us. Anyways, after they were completely done stitching me up, I got to hold Bohdi for a couple minutes, you know, while they were stitching me up and stuff. And they said, okay, Mama, this is the last layer. We're just going to put everything together. And I looked up, and I see this huge mirror, and I realized for the first time that in the reflection of the mirror I could see everything. And I just remember thinking, oh my gosh, there is blood everywhere, like all over my legs. I didn't think that it would be like down to my kneecaps, but it's like down to my kneecaps is like covered in blood. And I was like, oh gosh, like did not notice that before. And they're like rubbing you clean. Then they took the baby, they covered me up, and they brought in a bed, and they're like, okay, we need to move you to the bed, so here's what we're gonna do. Like, they shove you up onto the side, so I was like this, and stick a kind of like a pad thing underneath you. So they stuck that pad thing underneath me and pushed me back down so they could pull it. And I have like 3 people just like pull, 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 and I've never felt more like useless in my life. And I'm like trying to like help with my arms, because I didn't like the fact that people are like, you know, it's taking like 3 people to like pull my body, and I'm like trying to help, but I just felt so lifeless. Like my legs are just like flopping, they're like dead weight, and I'm like trying to shove myself over to the bed, and it was just like really uncomfortable. And after that, they got me to my room, and that is that for the birth vlog. And I know there's a couple different things that I was really amazed by, like seeing him for the first time with Sparrow. When he first came out, I was like, I had a natural labor no pain medication or anything, and so I was like on this high where I just felt like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I did that. I thought that I was watching this experience outside of my body, like somebody else was birthing this child and I was just watching it. And when he came out, I just was like, is this a dream? Like, is this real? Am I really holding my child? Like, what's going on? I was just so in shock that I didn't cry, because I was just like, what the heck? And with Bohdi, I like instantly, I heard his tears and I just started crying, and I was just seeing his face. It was just like the most amazing thing, seeing that. I just felt, you know, felt like a long process when you're there, because I'm like, okay, I know the baby's coming out, like when is he coming, how long is this gonna take, like what's going on? But it was an amazing process. And just because you have a C-section, it doesn't mean that you can't have a beautiful experience meeting your baby for the first time. It was so helpful that I had such an amazing team of doctors and nurses that walked me through the whole process and talked to me and answered all my questions. They were so great. And I've got to end this video because it's getting really dark outside really fast, which is why I wanted to film this video early. But the sun started going down like within 5 minutes. It's gotten like noticeably darker. So hopefully you can see in this video. But that is my birth story, and it really honestly was a great experience. I didn't get traumatized until after that, after the C-section, which I will explain in a separate video like what happened. But I mean, everything went great. My spinal was great. All of my doctors, the anesthesiologist, all the nurses were so amazing in that process to really work to make sure that Bohdi could stay in the room with me and make sure that I was reassured and knew what was going on at all times. And I didn't think that I would want to know what's going on, but I did, and it was so helpful for me to hear, like, we're sewing this out, we're pulling this out, we're doing this, because I knew what was going on, and it wasn't just like, why are they shaking me, why are they pulling on me, what's going on, why am I starting to itch, you know? But it was just an amazing experience, and I'm so thankful that I had that team of doctors, and I thought it was meant to be that I had him at that time, because maybe that nurse wouldn't have been on call, who was really helpful for me at that time. And I think that she really changed my experience and made it really great for me to have her there. And that is all that I want to say about my birth story. Bohdi was born on September 12th, 2017 at 2:16 in the morning by a C-section, and so that was his birth story. And I just wanted to record this so that I could remember this for forever. And my next video is going to be kind of on the blood patch and my postpartum recovery and things like that. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, go ahead and subscribe, because we will have more videos coming up very soon. Thank you.